Learn English, speak confidently with Inkwell Stories. Hello, everyone. I'm Emma, and welcome back to our channel. Today, we have something very exciting because we're going to talk about how to use reading to speak English more fluently and confidently. Before we start, if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and consider subscribing to our channel. It really helps us create more helpful lessons for you. I'm here with my friend Alex again, who is amazing at turning books into real speaking practice.
Hi everyone, I'm Alex and I'm very happy to be here again with Emma today. If you've ever read English books but felt stuck when trying to speak, don't worry. By the end of today's session, you'll have simple strategies to make your reading practice active, fun, and useful.
Exactly! Many learners read regularly, but reading alone doesn't help if you can't use the words in real conversations. Today, Alex and I will guide you step by step, and at the end, you'll know how to practice reading so it improves your speaking naturally.
We'll also talk about vocabulary, grammar, and even how to make reading fun. So stay with us because this episode can really change the way you learn English.
Alex, let's start with a simple but important question. Many people ask me, can reading really help me speak English better? What do you usually tell them?
Yes, Emma. Reading can really help, but it depends on how you read. Many learners read a lot, but they do not practice speaking. Reading alone is not enough. You need to turn reading into active practice.
Exactly. I always tell learners that reading silently is only the first step. You need to engage with the text. For example, try to explain a sentence in your own words. Ask yourself questions about what you are reading. This makes your brain active and helps you remember better.
I agree, and there are two main types of reading that can help learners improve fluency. The first type is intensive reading. This is when you read carefully, focusing on every word and sentence. You look at grammar, vocabulary, and sentence structure in detail.
Yes, intensive reading is very useful for learning new words. You can underline new words, write them in your notebook, and try to use them in sentences. It is slow but very effective.
The second type is extensive reading. This is when you read for general understanding. You do not stop for every word. The goal is to enjoy the story or the content and understand the main ideas.
Right. Extensive reading is faster and helps your brain get used to English. You will see many words and phrases repeatedly, and this repetition helps you remember them naturally.
Both types of reading are important. Intensive reading helps with accuracy, and extensive reading helps with fluency. When you combine them, you can speak English more confidently.
I always suggest mixing them. For example, read one paragraph carefully, then read a few pages for fun without stopping. This balance helps your brain learn both detail and speed.
Another key tip is reading aloud. Even if it is just for 5 minutes a day, reading aloud helps your mouth get used to English sounds. It also improves pronunciation and speaking confidence.
Yes, I love that tip. Reading silently is good for comprehension, but speaking needs practice. Reading aloud bridges the gap between reading and speaking. You can start with a few sentences and gradually read longer paragraphs.
Emma, many learners also ask me about using dictionaries. Should they look up every word?
Not always. It can slow you down and make reading boring. Instead, try to guess the meaning from the context. For example, if a sentence says, "He wore a scarf because it was cold," you can guess that a scarf is something to keep you warm.
Exactly. This is called being a context detective. It helps your brain understand words naturally, and you don't need to memorize every word separately.
Another idea is to take notes while reading. You can write new words and also write a sentence using the word. This helps you remember and use the word when speaking.
Yes, and don't forget making predictions. Before reading a paragraph, try to guess what will happen. Ask yourself, what will the character do next? Or what is the main idea? It keeps your brain active like you are having a conversation with the book.
I love that. Making predictions is fun and makes reading more interesting. It also prepares your brain to speak because you are thinking ahead.
Another tip is looking for patterns in language. For example, notice how questions are formed or how adjectives describe nouns. Patterns make it easier to speak correctly because your brain recognizes familiar structures.
Yes, patterns also help with grammar. When you read a lot, you start to feel which sentence structures are correct. This is very useful when you want to speak naturally.
And finally, Emma, I always tell learners to summarize aloud. After reading a paragraph or a chapter, try to explain it in your own words. Don't worry about mistakes. The goal is to express ideas.
Absolutely. Summarizing aloud turns passive reading into active practice. It also helps you remember the story, words, and grammar. You can even try summarizing for a friend or family member.
Emma, some learners feel shy or nervous to speak English. What would you tell them?
I tell them it is okay to practice in private. You can read aloud at home, summarize silently first, then try speaking slowly. The more you practice, the more confident you will become. Mistakes are part of learning.
Yes, and combining intensive reading, extensive reading, and reading aloud is very powerful. It builds accuracy, fluency, and confidence together.
Another tip is to make reading personal. Choose books or articles about topics you enjoy. If you like the content, it is easier to read and remember. You will naturally want to talk about it.
Yes, when you are excited about the content, speaking becomes easier. You already have opinions and ideas, and reading gives you the words to express them.
Finally, remember that practice is key. Even small steps every day are very effective. 5 minutes of reading aloud or summarizing a paragraph can make a big difference over time.
Exactly. Start small, be consistent, and gradually increase your reading time. Over weeks, you will see your speaking improve naturally.
So, today we learned that reading can help fluency, especially if you engage actively with the text, mix intensive and extensive reading, read aloud and summarize, guess words from context, look for language patterns.
Yes, and if you start practicing these strategies today, you will notice small but important improvements in your English speaking. It takes patience, but it works.
In part 2, we will talk about more practical strategies to turn reading into real speaking practice. So stay with us and keep your notebook ready.
Welcome back, everyone. Now that we understand the types of reading, let's talk about strategies to make reading really help your speaking. Emma, which strategy should we start with?
I think we should start with strategy 1, context detective. Alex, can you explain it?
Sure. Being a context detective means guessing the meaning of new words from the sentences around them. You don't always need a dictionary. For example, if you read, "The little boy was delighted with his new toy," you can guess that delighted means very happy.
Yes, this strategy is very useful. It helps you understand words naturally and faster. And it makes reading more fun because you feel like a detective solving a mystery.
Exactly. Strategy 2 is take smart notes. You can write down new words, phrases, and sentences you like. But don't just copy words. Write an example sentence in your own words. This helps you remember and use the words later.
I always tell learners to make a small notebook for new words. Every day, write a few words and try to make sentences. After a week, review them aloud. This simple habit improves vocabulary quickly.
Strategy 3 is make predictions. Before reading a paragraph, try to guess what will happen. Ask yourself, what will the character do? Or what is this paragraph about? This keeps your brain active while reading.
I love that one. It makes reading more interesting. You feel like you are part of the story, and guessing encourages you to speak because you can explain your predictions aloud.
Next is strategy 4. Look for patterns. Language has patterns, especially grammar. For example, notice how questions are formed. What is she doing? Or where did he go? Recognizing patterns helps you speak more correctly.
Yes, patterns are very important. When you see similar structures again and again, your brain learns them without memorizing. This helps you speak naturally and quickly.
Strategy 5 is incorporate speaking. After reading a paragraph, try to explain it aloud. Summarize in your own words. Don't worry about mistakes. The goal is to express ideas, not be perfect.
Exactly. Speaking is like exercising your English muscles. The more you use them, the stronger they get. Even 5 minutes a day of summarizing aloud makes a big difference over time.
Strategy 6 is shadow reading. This is when you listen to a native speaker reading a text and read at the same time, copying their speed and pronunciation. It improves your rhythm, intonation, and pronunciation.
Yes, shadow reading is very effective for speaking naturally. At first, it might feel strange, but after a few tries, your brain and mouth get used to English sounds.
Strategy 7 is summarize aloud. After finishing a chapter or article, tell someone, or even yourself, what you read. Use your own words. This connects reading comprehension with speaking and helps you remember new vocabulary.
Absolutely. Summarizing aloud also helps you notice gaps in your understanding. If you can't explain a part clearly, read it again. This repetition makes learning very effective.
Finally, strategy 8 is make reading social. Join a book club, talk about articles with friends, or discuss stories online. Speaking with others is the best way to practice.
Yes, when you talk about what you read, you get feedback, ideas, and confidence. And discussing with friends makes learning fun.
Another tip is to combine these strategies. For example, read a paragraph, guess new words, context detective, take notes, and then summarize aloud. This uses 4 strategies at once.
Exactly. You can also combine shadow reading with summarizing aloud. Listen to a short story, read along, and then tell the story in your own words. This is very effective for speaking fluently.
Remember, consistency is key. Even 10 minutes of focused reading every day is better than reading 1 hour only once a week. Small daily habits work wonders.
And don't forget to enjoy the content. Choose stories, articles, or topics you like. If you care about the subject, your brain remembers words, phrases, and sentences naturally.
Yes, when you are interested, you will naturally want to talk about it. And when you speak, you will use the words and structures you already read.
Alex, what about learners who feel shy? Some people are afraid to speak aloud, even at home.
That's normal. I suggest starting in private. Read aloud alone, summarize silently, then try speaking slowly. Gradually, you will feel comfortable. Confidence grows step by step.
I also suggest keeping a vocabulary journal. Write new words, example sentences, and try using them in speaking. Reviewing this journal regularly will make speaking easier.
Exactly. You can even make it fun. Try to use 1 or 2 new words in your daily conversation every day. It is small but very powerful.
And remember, mistakes are part of learning. Don't be afraid to make them. Perfection is not the goal. Communication is.
Yes, speaking with mistakes is better than not speaking at all. Over time, your brain learns to correct errors naturally.
So today, we covered 8 strategies. 1. Context detective. 2. Take smart notes. 3. Make predictions. 4. Look for patterns. 5. Incorporate speaking. 6. Shadow reading. 7. Summarize aloud. 8. Make reading social.
Exactly. Start with 1 or 2 strategies and gradually add more. Over weeks, your reading and speaking skills will improve together.
In Part 3, we will focus on remembering vocabulary, speaking confidently, and practical tips for introverts or perfectionists. Stay with us. Now that we've discussed the main reading strategies, let's talk about one of the biggest challenges for learners, remembering vocabulary. Alex, what do you suggest for this?
Yes, Emma, vocabulary can be tricky. My first tip is to create a vocabulary journal. Write new words, their meaning, and an example sentence. Review it regularly. This helps you remember words naturally and use them in speaking.
I agree. And I also suggest using words in context. For example, if you learn the word excited, don't just memorize it. Make sentences like, I am excited about today's lesson. This helps you connect words to real situations.
Exactly. Another effective method is repetition with speaking. Say new words out loud multiple times during the day. You can even make small sentences with them. Speaking while learning makes vocabulary stronger in your memory.
Yes, and remember, mistakes are okay. Many learners worry about speaking perfectly, but perfection is not the goal. The goal is to communicate your ideas clearly. Mistakes are part of learning and improvement.
Another tip is to combine reading with speaking. After reading a paragraph, try to summarize it aloud in your own words. Use new words you learned. This links comprehension with active speaking.
I also suggest shadowing and summarizing together. Listen to a native speaker reading a text, repeat at the same time, then summarize aloud in your own words. This trains your brain to think and speak in English naturally.
Yes, shadowing improves rhythm, pronunciation, and fluency. Summarizing aloud helps with comprehension and vocabulary use. Together, they are very powerful for confident speaking.
Alex, what about learners who feel shy, like introverts or perfectionists?
It's normal to feel shy. Start in private. Read aloud. Summarize silently. Then speak slowly. Gradually, you will gain confidence. The key is small, consistent practice every day.
I also recommend making learning personal and fun. Choose books, articles, or stories that interest you. If you care about the content, your brain will remember words, phrases, and sentences naturally.
Yes, when you are interested, you will naturally want to talk about it. Your opinions, questions, and reactions give you material to speak about. Reading gives you the words. Your ideas give you confidence.
Another practical tip is to practice with friends or online communities. Share what you read, explain new words, or discuss ideas. Speaking with others gives feedback and encourages learning.
Exactly. Even small conversations help. You will notice improvement faster than you expect. And don't worry about making mistakes. Your brain learns from them.
Also, try to use words in real situations. For example, if you read the word recommend, you can say, I recommend this book to my friend. Practicing words in sentences that you can actually say helps memorization.
Yes, Emma. And another tip is daily short practice. Even 5 or 10 minutes per day can make a big difference over weeks. Consistency is more important than long but rare study sessions.
And always review your vocabulary journal. Repetition is key. Seeing words multiple times, using them in sentences, and speaking aloud strengthens memory.
Yes, and remember, reading, speaking, and listening are connected. When you read actively, speak aloud, and summarize, your brain builds strong English pathways. This is how fluency grows.
Alex, can you give one final advice for learners who want to speak confidently?
Sure. Speak as much as possible, even if you feel nervous. Use the words and phrases you read. Don't wait for perfection. Confidence comes from practice, not knowing everything perfectly.
Exactly. Start small, be consistent, and enjoy the process. Speak aloud at home, discuss with friends, or even talk to yourself. Every word you speak is progress.
And remember, learning English is a journey. Small daily steps, active reading, speaking, and reviewing vocabulary all work together. Over time, you will notice real improvement.
Finally, we want to give you a special resource. We created a PDF vocabulary list from today's lesson, including all the key words, phrases, and tips. You can download it and practice anytime.
And don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more lessons, tips, and strategies. Practice with us, and soon you'll be speaking English confidently and naturally.
Thank you so much for listening. Keep reading, speaking, and enjoying your English journey. Remember, every word you practice brings you closer to confidence. See you in the next episode.
Bye, everyone. Keep practicing and have fun with your English.